his name? Maria Teresa Angelina Barberini.
In September 1975, Welcome Back, Kotter exploded as an American television phenomenon, telling about teacher Gabe Kotter, the person who returns to teach at the Brooklyn High School, where he himself was once a rebel. In that classroom, 4 sweathogs causing trouble make everything always upside down. The brash Vinnie Barbarino, the goofy Arnold Horshack, the quick-witted Freddie Washington, and the reckless Juan Epstein. But hidden under the layer of humor is a whole picture of American education full of struggles, where adults fumble to find ways to understand the young generation rebelling amid the social whirlwind of the 70s. And while audiences still burst into laughter at the charming banter on screen, the behind the scenes gradually sank into undercurrents, conflicts, hurts and secrets that no one dares to speak out. Few know that Welcome Back, Kotter once stood on the brink of being cancelled just after a few broadcast episodes, though it itself created the phrase, "up your nose with a rubber hose," language symbol of an entire generation. But that is only the surface. Behind, lead actress Marcia Strassman once secretly wished for the show to collapse because she could not bear the pressure from the crew, while John Travolta, the guy hailed for his perfect appearance, was hiding a flaw that could destroy his entire career. Now, get ready, because here are 15 strange, shocking and untold truths about Welcome Back, Kotter. 15. A funny line turned into a nationwide scandal. The phrase, "up your nose with a rubber hose," a line meant to spark laughter in the classroom, became one of the biggest controversies in 1970s American television history. During a taping, John Travolta improvised the line as Vinnie Barbarino, making the entire set burst into laughter. No one expected that weeks later, audiences across the country would split into 2 camps, one seeing it as a symbol of youthful rebellion, the other viewing it as the collapse of educational standards. Parents, moral groups, and American women's associations sent countless letters of protest to ABC, claiming the phrase carried inappropriate undertones, poisoned teenagers, and encouraged disrespectful behavior. Some schools even banned students from repeating it on campus. Public pressure forced ABC to review all dialogue in subsequent episodes, demanding writers remove any lines that could be misinterpreted morally. Yet, ironically, that very condemned phrase propelled Welcome Back, Kotter to the height of fame. "Up your nose with a rubber hose" became a cultural catchphrase, appearing on t-shirts, printed mugs, and children's toys across America. A harmless joke turned into a cultural weapon, simultaneously enraging the public and etching the show into television history as a symbol of a rebellious era and free speech. What do you think of this line? Share your thoughts in the comments below. 14. When the creator became a backstage tyrant, Gabe Kaplan wasn't just the face of Welcome Back, Kotter, but also its creative soul. From the initial concept to every line of dialogue, he was deeply involved. But as fame grew, Kaplan's creative control turned into a nightmare for the crew. He meddled in every aspect, from writing to editing to promotion, and demanded every line fit the Gabe Kaplan style. One writer recalled Kaplan showing up in the editing room in the middle of the night, demanding cuts to other actors' scenes to make his own stand out. When ABC suggested expanding the students' roles, Kaplan lashed out, accusing the network of stealing his brainchild. Some crew members called him a jolly tyrant, someone who could make the set laugh but also silence everyone in an instant. The breaking point came when the studio threatened to strip his editing rights if he didn't share creative control with the new team. Kaplan retaliated, declaring he'd leave the show if he didn't have full authority. This internal battle had no winner, only a clear consequence. The crew's morale shattered, and Welcome Back, Kotter slid from its peak. A show born from creative passion died because of the oversized ego of its creator. 13. On-screen friendship, a real-life feud. On screen, the four Sweathogs were brothers who stood by each other through right and wrong, laughing, pranking, and protecting Mr. Kotter from every trouble. But in real life, that friendship was a fragile facade. Lawrence Hilton Jacobs, Freddie Washington, and Robert Higgins, Juan Epstein, were fiercely competitive, each believing they were the soul of the classroom. They argued over every line, every frame, even who got more laughs from the audience. Tensions escalated when Ron Palillo, who played Arnold Horshack, was completely ostracized. His co-stars felt he overacted, disrupting the comedic rhythm and distracting viewers. Palillo ate lunch alone in the makeup room, and the director had to film separate groups to prevent the toxic atmosphere from spreading across the set. Many episodes were meticulously edited to hide the fact that the actors could barely stand to be near each other. Ironically, these conflicts made the show oddly authentic. The fiery exchanges and sarcastic glances on screen weren't just acting. They were real emotions captured in rare moments when they shared the same frame. The audience's laughter, it turns out, was built on the very real fractures of people trying to play comedic roles in a group devoid of friendship. 12. The lead actress prayed daily for the show to collapse. It sounds unbelievable, but it's entirely true. Marcia Strassman, who played Julie Kotter, the gentle and composed wife, was the one harbouring the most resentment backstage. While audiences adored Julie's warmth, Strassman lived in what she called a suffocating and toxic environment. Her conflicts with Gabe Kaplan grew increasingly bitter. He often rewrote her lines without notice, cut her scenes, and rarely spoke kindly on set. In 1978, Strassman shocked the industry by admitting in an interview that she prayed every day for the show to be cancelled because she couldn't bear the hostile atmosphere. The statement spread through Hollywood, stunning the public. The image of the warm family couple in Welcome Back, Kotter existed only on screen. Critics called it one of the most painful rifts between lead actors in 1970s television. After the incident, Strassman was further isolated on set. Her scenes were slashed, and the filming atmosphere grew colder. When Kotter ended, she didn't hide her relief. "I knew I'd lose fame, but at least I could breathe again," she said. The show brought Strassman to audiences, but also ensured she never wanted to set foot on a sitcom set again. Do you think Strassman's actions were right or wrong? Let's discuss in the comments. 11. The decision that made John Travolta defy his own mother. In 1975, when John Travolta was offered an audition for Vinnie Barbarino, he was just an unknown face. The fiercest opposition came from his mother, Helen Travolta, a seasoned drama teacher. She believed the role of a slick-haired, joking character would typecast her son as handsome but shallow, ruining the artistic future she had painstakingly nurtured. John ignored her advice. He signed the contract, believing Barbarino could win over audiences. And his mother was wrong. The role not only made John Travolta a household name, but paved the way for Saturday Night Fever and Grease, films that turned him into a global icon. However, the cost was a rift in his family. Helen Travolta was heartbroken seeing her son pursue roles she deemed lacking artistic merit, and the two rarely spoke in the years that followed. Travolta later admitted in a rare interview that he felt both grateful and tormented by the decision. "If I had listened to my mum, I might never have become myself," he said. "But I also know, from that moment, I lost a part of my family." A choice that was right for his career left a wound that never healed in the heart of the Brooklyn boy. 10. A disastrous spin-off that killed both shows. The roaring success of Welcome Back, Kotter prompted ABC to expand the Sweathogs universe. In 1976, they launched Mr. T and Tina, a spin-off centered on Taro Takahashi, a Japanese inventor played by Pat Morita. In theory, it was a promising idea, an immigrant struggling to adapt to American culture, full of situational comedy. In reality, the series quickly became a disaster. Mr. T and Tina was heavily criticized for stereotyping, cultural insensitivity, and sloppy writing. Critics called it one of the most unforgivable mistakes of 1970s television. After just 5 episodes, ABC pulled the plug. But the fallout didn't stop there. The budget for Welcome Back, Kotter was slashed, writers were fired, and production quality visibly declined. 9. When a star was replaced by a cheap imitation. In mid-1976, as Welcome Back, Kotter hit its peak. Brands rushed to capitalize on its fame. Ideal Toys produced a board game inspired by the catchphrase, "Up your nose with a rubber hose," based on John Travolta's famous line. But when it came time to film the commercial, Travolta was tied up with a packed shooting schedule and declined to participate. To meet the product launch deadline, the company hired an unknown young actor, Steve Guttenberg, later famous for Police Academy, to stand in for Travolta. Guttenberg mimicked Barbarino so well that many viewers didn't notice the switch. The ad aired, thousands of games sold, but in the industry, it was an unprecedented professional insult. A rising TV star was replaced by a $200 lookalike, while his brand raked in millions. Years later, Guttenberg recalled with a bitter smile, "I earned $200 playing John Travolta, while he made millions just for being himself." 8. The legendary laugh that became a lifelong curse, Arnold Horshack, was the character who made audiences laugh every time he spoke. "Ooh, ooh, Mr. Kotter." His wheezy laugh and eager face became a hallmark of Welcome Back Kotter. But for Ron Palillo, who created the character, that laugh marked the start of a long, dark chapter. After the show ended, no director wanted to hire him. Studios only remembered Horshack, not Palillo. He tried theatre, teaching and small stages, but everywhere people demanded he do that laugh again. Palillo once said, "Every time they mentioned the laugh, I felt like I was being dragged back into the past." Depression, unemployment, and the fear of being typecast led him to withdraw from Hollywood. When Palillo died in 2012, most headlines only mentioned Horshack from Welcome Back Kotter, as if his real name had been erased from history. The laugh that brought him glory ultimately became a prison that trapped his entire life. 7. The comedian who lost his sanity. As Welcome Back, Kotter became a national phenomenon. Gabe Kaplan, its creator, writer and star as Mr. Kotter, entered his most triumphant but also darkest phase. The immense responsibility drove him into extreme stress. Kaplan began losing sleep, staying up all night to tweak every line and detail he deemed not perfect enough. According to colleagues, Kaplan grew paranoid. He suspected the crew was trying to steal his creative credit and even avoided talking to the writing and filming teams. The pressure led him to alcohol, self-isolation, and growing distance from his co-stars. In the final seasons, Kaplan appeared exhausted, his voice hoarse, his smile forced, signs of a man mentally drained. When Kotter ended, Gabe Kaplan vanished from Hollywood. He took no more acting roles, avoided television, and chose a reclusive life as a professional poker player, where he could control every decision without external pressure. Was Gabe's decision justified? Share your thoughts in the comments below. 6. From Street Gang to American Idol. Few know that Lawrence Hilton Jacobs, who played Freddie Boom Boom Washington, had a turbulent youth. Raised in Brooklyn, he was once part of a delinquent youth group, clashing with police multiple times. In later interviews, Hilton Jacobs admitted, "I knew every corner, every type of person Freddie represented because I was one of them." When he took the role, he barely had to act, just relive his past. His walk, half-smile, and confident voice carried the authentic air of people society often dismissed. ABC knew his background, but kept it hushed to avoid controversy in a racially sensitive era. The role of Freddie Washington pulled Hilton Jacobs from the shadows, making him the first black idol for millions of young American viewers. Yet, ironically, that same role trapped him in the street guy image for years. Despite his talent, he struggled to escape Freddie's shadow, a character born from his real life that also buried his real career. 5. A comedy legend fell before the camera one last time. In 1976, the Welcome Back Kotter team invited comedy icon Groucho Marx, one of America's greatest comedic legends, for a special episode. It was meant to be a tribute bridging two generations, Groucho of the past and Kaplan of the present. But when he arrived on set, the crew fell silent. At 86, Groucho Marx was frail, his memory severely faded, barely recognizing those around him. During rehearsals, he forgot lines repeatedly, his eyes wandered, and his steps trembled. The scene was cancelled mid-shoot due to his health. Kaplan and the young cast, who grew up with Marx's laughter, could only watch in silence. That taping became Groucho Marx's final appearance on a set. A photo with the cast was kept, but never released, as his frail image was too much for fans to bear. Months later, the legend passed away. Welcome Back, Kotter unknowingly became the final stage for an icon. 4. A perfect exterior hid a crumbling body. At the height of Welcome Back, Kotter, John Travolta, was the embodiment of American youthful charm. His slick hair, confident smile, and perfect physique made him a TV heartthrob. But few knew that behind the dazzling facade was a body deteriorating from eating disorders and exhaustion. Travolta was obsessed with his appearance. He followed a brutal regimen: black coffee, cigarettes to curb hunger, and barely any food. The pressure to maintain a perfect image caused rapid weight loss, hair thinning, sunken eyes, and pale skin. When preparing for Saturday Night Fever, Paramount was so shocked they ordered him to gain weight immediately, to dance on screen without fainting. Travolta complied, but at the cost of his health and mental state. During dance rehearsals, he collapsed backstage. Hollywood saw only a shining star, but inside was a 20-year-old destroying himself to meet the expectations of millions. Travolta's glamour, it turned out, was paid for with his own blood and life. Do you think John sacrificed too much for his career? Share your thoughts in the comments. 3. The show bore their names, but they vanished. The final season of Welcome Back, Kotter opened with a bitter irony. The two people who defined the show, Gabe Kaplan and John Travolta, were barely present. After endless conflicts with producer James Komack, Kaplan refused to film most episodes, appearing only symbolically a few times. Travolta left to pursue his film career after Saturday Night Fever, and Grease made him an A-list star. Unable to halt the show mid-run, writers scrambled to explain. Mr. Kotter was promoted to vice principal and Barbarino took a hospital job. But audiences weren't fooled. Without its two core souls, Welcome Back, Kotter became an empty classroom where supporting characters struggled to hold on to fading light. Viewership plummeted, and within months, ABC cancelled the show. The story ended not because audiences grew tired, but because its creators left. Welcome Back, Kotter, the show named after the teacher, closed in an ironic twist, when neither the teacher nor the student was there to laugh together. 2. Manipulation. That made two actors hate each other for years. James Komack, the powerful producer behind Welcome Back, Kotter, believed real conflict would create authentic acting energy. But his idea turned into a psychological tragedy. Komack secretly met with Gabe Kaplan and Marcia Strassman, the two lead actors, and lied to each, claiming the other hated and bad-mouthed them. Both believed it. Kaplan grew distant and cold. Strassman shot hostile glares during scenes. The tension was so thick that as soon as the director called cut, they'd leave the set in opposite directions. When Strassman publicly criticised Kaplan in a 1978 interview, he called to ask why, and they discovered they'd been deceived for years. The manipulation left a scar that never healed. Though they later reconciled, both Kaplan and Strassman admitted they never regained full trust in any project thereafter. 1. A fun school sitcom turned into a real Hollywood tragedy. Behind the comedic veneer of rowdy classroom scenes was a tragedy spanning years. John Travolta battled eating disorders and fame's pressure. Gabe Kaplan sank into paranoia and isolation. Marcia Strassman prayed for the show's end. Ron Palillo lived his remaining years haunted by a laugh. The people who created a television sensation each walked away with their own wounds. Welcome Back, Kotter ended in 1979, but its echoes never faded. Not for its success, but for its cost. The show launched a generation's careers while shattering their balance. Amid the laughter on air were sleepless nights, tears backstage, and people who learned that laughter could bring glory, but also devour an entire life. Despite its turmoil, Welcome Back, Kotter remains an irreplaceable milestone in American television history. It shaped the modern school sitcom, blending humor with humane messages about education and tolerance. Natural acting, witty dialogue, and authentic Brooklyn spirit made it an icon of a generation. Nearly half a century later, Kotter's vitality continues to resonate with fans worldwide. If you enjoyed these emotional behind-the-scenes stories, don't forget to like and share to spread them further. And subscribe to the channel to not miss the next journeys into classic film and television.